Hello, one and all! This is my review of My Hero Academia Chapter 3, freaking 100, The Hellish Todoroki Family, Part 2. And can we seriously just take a moment to appreciate 300 chapters? This series has been going on for 300 freaking chapters! That is such a long time. This chapter feels such an utterly perfect milestone for the series, as is the chapter where everything goes to complete and utter heck. I mean, seriously. It's basically what's been building up since the very beginning, since, the first attack on Yue way back when. Basically, the citizens, they realize, okay, we can't rely on the heroes, there's too many villains, there are these giant Nomu monsters that come and kill us at any moment, so we need to start defending and protecting ourselves. And we see the shopkeeper fighting back with a support item, which I'm actually rather confused about where he got that support item, because, Detronet, the company Redestro owned, was the main supplier of them, and I'm fairly certain that company, isn't in business anymore, given that the founder turned out to be a massive terrorist. I feel like that's the kind of thing, that would shut a company down at least for a little while, but yeah, is this like just black market deals? Is, what's his name, the black market dealer the League of Villains was using? Is he the one responsible for getting people their weapons now? That would make a certain amount of sense, but that just seems like such a large operation. I'm very, very curious about that. Also, we have Cider House showing back up, and yeah, not gonna lie, I completely forgot about this guy. Though I do love the little line underneath it, see volume 23, Bakugo said get a job, loser, and beat these guys easily. Which I just love that reminder. Seriously, I would not remember this guy otherwise, at all. Anyway, yeah, so a bunch of civilians decide they're gonna use their support items and their quirks to defend themselves and fight the villains. And to absolutely no one's surprise, it goes very, very poorly. Seriously, the last 299 chapters have been all about, hero school, My Hero Academia, all about the classes and lessons, exams, internships, work study programs, everything the students need to do in order to become successful heroes, in order to know what to do. Okay, when a villain attacks, what exactly should we do? How do we, coordinate with one another? How do we keep casualties to a minimum? How do we keep the fight from escalating and, spreading out and causing more collateral damage? These citizens have received none of that training, and so everything just goes very, very badly for them. Though, like any good conspiracy theorist, I will blame this at least partially on the government, because, the entire program, the hero program that's created, it basically says, these people, these heroes, they are gods among you, they are superior species, they are better than you, so therefore they are the only ones who are worthy of using their quirk for the common good, and anyone else who disagrees or goes against this program is a villain, a creature straight out of a Saturday morning cartoon. And so when Hawks and Endeavor were revealed to be at least partially, arguably corrupt, it basically ruined the image of heroes as a whole. They were no longer these gods among men. They were just, men, mortal human beings who were fallible, who were thrown down, and so the people could no longer rely on them. And secondly, there's the issue that these people have absolutely zero experience using their quirks, basically whatsoever. The government has essentially outlawed any use of a quirk for any purpose whatsoever, which means that these people have never, gotten the experience, the practice that we've seen Deku, Bakugo, Shoto, and all the other ones working and trying towards. Meaning that when they actually have to use their quirks in a fight, yeah, like I said, it goes very, very badly. And I think there are definitely ways to counteract this. If the government could have set up, junior hero licenses, something like that, something the average person can get, so that they could use their quirks, for self-defense, for their own job, in order to, assist anyone they see who's in immediate trouble before them, something like that. Something like a gun license. They have to pass a basic background test and psychological exam, and then, they're allowed to go to quirk facilities where they can practice and work with their quirks, maybe even being tutored by former heroes or quirk professionals or something like that, so they can find the best way to use their quirk to defend themselves if need ever arises. So that way the shopkeeper, wouldn't have ended up destroying his entire neighborhood just trying to keep himself from getting robbed. Something like that. And then just poor Wash. They throw a freaking frying pan at him and blame him for all of this because, he didn't get there in time, because it's not like there's any other villains he has to deal with. It's not like there were, massive prison breaks he also has to help with. And it's not like there's, a massive reduction in number of heroes because so many of them are quitting. But I'm not actually a little confused by the expression here, because he gets, really mad and irked. And then he starts screaming that he's going to disinfect their wounds and get them to the hospital. So, he's annoyed, but at the same time, he's still devoted to his job. I'd say, he's a real professional hero like that. Oh god, and then we had this moment. I am not here. Oh, that hurt. That hurt so freaking badly. I mean, seriously, a symbol of peace, a symbol of protection, a symbol of basically Japan. Everyone realizing, he is not here anymore, that he can't defend them anymore. And I'm actually going to argue that All Might is at least partially responsible for this crisis as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was definitely trying his best, but at the same time, he raised the image of what it meant to be a hero to such an overwhelmingly ridiculous degree, working for days on end without sleep, stopping villain after villain, being stronger than any other hero, and eventually just reached a point where no hero could ever possibly live up to that image, to the standard being set by All Might. And that was arguably the source of Stain as well. He wanted to kill any hero who couldn't live up to, being All Might. And speaking of Stain, hey, he's alive, yay, kinda. I'm gonna say kinda for now. He's wet right now, so I'm guessing he swam from the prison that was, 5 kilometers from the mainland. Wow, that's quite a swim, all the way back to Japan. And now he's got a sword, which might be bad, but I don't actually think it's going to be as bad as people might be thinking right now, because, Stain realizes that his ideology was flawed, that All Might, couldn't live up to the actual image that he had, that the true All Might was nowhere near as strong or as invincible as he made himself out to be, and Stain's idea of getting rid of the corrupt heroes, and just basically leaving it to All Might, to heroes that were at his level, would basically mean that there aren't enough heroes to go, fight the rest of the villains. So could it be that Stain is picking up his sword here, not to fight heroes, but to fight villains, to try and save people? Because even when Stain was at his absolute craziest, he still had this ideal, He still wanted to make things better for people, and there are so few heroes out there right now that killing those that remain isn't going to do a whole lot of good, and it's going to make things a, whole lot worse. I mean, he does look, I'm going to argue, more human in this shot we get of him, even when he's got the sword and he looks kind of demonic. He still has a more human, less messy, less insane look to him than he had last time we saw him way, way, way back when. So, yeah, maybe he's actually going to go after villains. Maybe he's actually going to help fight for the heroes. I mean, I could see him going after Endeavor, but that just feels like such a short encounter, one fight between them, and that's it. Stain goes back to prison, goes back to jail. It doesn't feel like, worthy of how much Stain has been built up all this time. They've kept him alive since that arc so long ago. So I feel like he's going to have more of a purpose than just that. More meanings, more, depth to him somehow, some way. Anyway, then speaking of Endeavor, he's in the hospital, waking up from the anesthesia, seeing all the people outside, screaming, hating him, la la la. Though even more important than all that is his doctor. His doctor is a mushroom, a toadstool. Aizawa's doctor last chapter was Yoshi, a dinosaur. So we have Toad and Yoshi. That means that next chapter we're gonna see Dr. freaking Mario. Why? This feels like such a serious scene. It seems so unlikely they would just throw in a Mario reference here. I mean, is there gonna be some sort of collaboration with Mario moving forward? That seems so very, very unlikely, but I don't know, maybe? Fighting game, Mario versus My Hero Academia? Is Deku going to be the next character in Super Smash Bros.? I don't know, I'm just so utterly confused by this, it's very weird. Anyway, then Endeavor begins to reflect on how utterly, overwhelmingly badly he has done screwed up, and we actually do get a very brief shot of who Toya was before he became Dabi. We see him pulling out his own hair, him on the verge of tears, burned and scratched all over. This is, what Endeavor did to his son. This is how he became Dabi down the road. And as he's thinking back to all this, as he's realizing just how badly he's messed up, he starts to cry. He looks so old, so worn out, so just defeated. And then Shoto walks in and immediately closes the door on him. And I can definitely get that. I mean, I cannot count the number of times I've walked into my father, drunk off his mind, begging, pleading for God to kill him. And there's no real good answer there, so usually I just close the door and walk away. Anyway, thankfully though, his sister is there to lend a helping hand, and she actually does look like she's worried about him, like she does really care about him here. Natsu, not so much. He just looks like royally, royally ticked off. But then, as he begins to apologize and says his heart is breaking, can't go on, his wife shows up! look on his face, his look of absolute shock and defeat at seeing her here. This is the pain. This is what I wanted to see when Dobby was revealed. I mean, he actually looks more upset now than he did when Dobby revealed himself to be his son. Oh, I love it. I just love how broken he looks here. And also, I really point out, she's holding a flower. It was said very, very long time ago that Endeavor never forgot her favorite flower and always would send her one every now and again when he went to visit her. I mean, he never actually could see her because of the doctors and whatever, but he would always bring that flower to her, and that's a symbol of, I guess, their marriage or union, something? I'm really not sure about that. I just also do love Shota, just putting a helping hand on his mother's back, trying to support her, trying to encourage her, while he is literally wrapped in bandages and barely able to speak. That is a good son right there. That is a good freaking son. I love it. And what I'm getting from her line here, those regrets and guilt, the rest of us have borne that burden much more than you have. I think she's basically telling him that you can't retire, you can't quit being a hero. I mean, he straight up said, Endeavor is dead a few pages before that, but I don't think that's actually what's going to happen. I think he's going to continue being a hero moving forward. I have been saying for a long time, since before the Dobby reveal actually, that there would come a point where Endeavor's sins were revealed to the entire world, where they would know just what a monster he is, and they would hate him. And yet he would continue to be a hero. He would continue to go out there and continue to fight for the people, even as they boo him, even as they throw, hate and garbage and debris at him, even as they talk about what a monster he is, he will continue fighting with his head held high, and that is how he will redeem himself. That is how he will earn my respect and the respect of his family, by continuing, by not giving up, even though he's hated, even though he's despised, even though he will never again come even close to becoming the number one hero. His dreams completely stripped from him, and yet he still needs to be a hero, because he needs to fight for the people. That is what I want to freaking see. And I think there's actually a parallel to this a little bit earlier in the chapter. The number 9 hero, Yorei Musha, retires. And I'm not going to lie, the only reason I actually remember this guy was because I actually looked up the top 10 hero ranking a few chapters back. And I'm like, okay, who exactly is still alive and capable of being a hero on this list? And really, at that point, it was just this dude and Best Jeanist. I assumed Wash had been killed by Shigaraki's attack. So I figured, okay, this guy's got to be super important. He's going to have to play some huge role in the final arc. He's going to step up, basically become the number 2 hero. Maybe he's actually a spy for All for One, something like that. No, he just straight up retires without even showing what his quirk is, without even showing what his powers are, without a single fight with him. And he gets booed, and things get thrown at him. Seriously, these photographers actually threw their cameras at the man. Seriously? Okay, they just threw everything at him. They're just, lodging hate and disgust at him. You're just dodging your responsibilities. You're just quitting your job. You're a coward. Dang it. And as this happens, you're just thinking all I ever wanted was love and respect. He is not a true hero. He didn't do it because he wanted to save people, because he wanted to protect people. He did it because, he wanted the people to like him. He wanted the people to love him. He wanted their admiration and joy. And Endeavor needs to prove that he is more than that. He needs to prove that that's not why he was a hero. He's a hero because he wants to protect the people. That's who he is. That's who he has to be moving forward. He needs to continue doing it. He needs to continue fighting for the people, even though they hate him. And that's how he'll be redeemed, how his family will eventually come, to love him again, to be willing to put up with him. And I so freaking cannot wait to see that. And I'm also very excited for this conversation we're going to have between Ray and Endeavor. Endeavor being confronted by his wife, and oh god, I'm so happy about this. A lot of people were saying back during the Dobby reveal that Ray was going to be broken by this, basically have a full mental breakdown, maybe try to kill herself, something like that. I had a slightly different opinion. I thought this exact thing was going to happen. She was going to realize she needs to be there for her family, for her kids, and she was going to get the courage, the strength she needed to leave the hospital and, even confront her husband. And I'm so glad I was right. So freaking glad I was right. Though this does raise the question, though, she says they need to talk about their family and their son Toya. Because there are two possibilities here. Either Dobby faked his death before she went to the mental hospital, that was a trigger for her attacking Shoto, that's why she did it. Or it happened after she went to the mental hospital, she blamed herself for not being there for her son, and that's the reason why she's been there for so long. Not just because she burned her one son, because she blamed herself for the death of the other. So I'd definitely like a little clarification on that. We saw a very, very brief glimpse of young Toya in this chapter. So I really wanted to learn more about his backstory, exactly, what it was Endeavor did to him, who he made him, how he faked his death. I mean, okay, very, very unlikely possibility here, but is there any chance that Ray knew Toya was alive? That maybe she had a hand in helping him fake his death? I mean, it seems very, very unlikely, but she seemed to recognize him as her son faster than Endeavor did, so I don't know, I'm curious about that, but let me know anything else down below. Do you think we're going to see Dr. Mario next chapter? What do you think is going to be the big reveal about Toya? What do you think of Ray coming out of the hospital and talking to her husband? She looks so strong, so confident. I freaking love it. Well, Endeavor just looks like a 90-year-old broken man, and I freaking love that too. Let me know anything else down below. Be sure to like and subscribe, see you in the next video. And until then, peace!